Chocolate cake is the world's favourite cake. But in different countries, it's actually completely different things. Australia has a no-bake version, while France's is a beautiful, decadent cake. And in Sweden, it's more like a pudding. And Italy? Well, that's a completely different story. I'm baking 9 different chocolate cakes from all around the world so we can rank them from worst to best. Let's start with Austria. Austria is known for all sorts of cakes, but perhaps the most iconic is the Sacher Torte, made famous by an 8-year-long court battle. According to the story, nearly 200 years ago, Prince Metternich had important guests coming for dinner, and he demanded something new for dessert. The pastry chef was apparently sick that night, so it was up to the apprentice, who was only 16 years old, to deliver. Franz Sacher, the apprentice, made a chocolate cake. His cake has no baking powder in it, so it's 100% reliant on the air whipped into the meringue to give it some lift. The cake was a huge success. The years went by and Franz passed his special recipe on to his son Edward Sacher, who became the pastry chef at Demel Cafe. Edward made his dad's Sacher Torte at the cafe, but he altered the recipe slightly by adding the now iconic smothering of apricot jam between the layers and around the whole cake. Edward went on to eventually start his own hotel and began selling the Sacher Torte there. Edward passed the special recipe on to his son, who was also called Edward, and he made the cakes at the hotel. I'm using the recipe from the hotel, but this step says to boil the sugar and water over high heat for 5 minutes, then leave it to cool a little and gradually add the chocolate. Doing that made a grainy, unusable mixture. So I tried this again but boiled it for a lot less time and then poured it over the chocolate, and that seemed to work much better for me. Back to the story. Many years later, the hotel went bankrupt, and Edward went to work at the Demel Cafe where his grandfather had worked all those years before. So once again, the Demel Cafe was selling the Sacher Torte. Then in the 1950s, the Sacher Hotel was revived and the legal battle began because both the hotel and the Demel Cafe were claiming to be selling the original Sacher Torte. In the end, the Demel Cafe got to call theirs the Edward Sacher Torte, and the hotel won the rights to call it the original Sacher Torte. And they now sell 800 of these cakes every day. So how does it taste?
Ooh. It's got some fruity flavours in there. I thought that was caramel, but it's more of a jam, I think.
It's too dry and too moist at the same time, and it tastes like raisins, but not in a good way.
Strange combo, but not bad.
I really like the orangey jam or jelly or something.
Next, we're off to Brazil to check out their chocolate cake. It was 1945. The war was over and Brazil was about to have an election to choose their new president. A confectioner, Miss Oliveira, invented a new candy and named it Doce do Brigadeiro, or Brigadier's Candy, in honour of one of the candidates, Brigadier Gomes. The candy was made from sweetened condensed milk, cream and chocolate, boiled until it thickens. Then it's cooled and rolled in chocolate sprinkles. The Brigadier did not win the election, but her candy, Brigadeiros, became famous in Brazil. To make the bolo brigadeiro or brigadier cake, each layer is drizzled with simple syrup to make it more moist, and then the candy recipe is thinned down with some extra cream to make a frosting that goes between each layer of the cake. Once it's stacked, this is chilled in the fridge overnight, and then the whole cake is covered in more of the sweetened condensed milk frosting and decorated with chocolate sprinkles and brigadeiros on top. That is an impressive looking cake.
Chocolate freckle, speckle, whatever you call them.
Sprinkles.
Sprinkles.
That's good.
It's a bit cloying and tastes like sweetened condensed milk.
Okay. That one's a bit like sour aftertaste.
Initially thought that was very good. Probably still think it's pretty good.
Next to a country that is famous for its pastries, France. To start with, we need a thin, crispy, caramelised crepe layer called feuilletine. If you live in France, you can probably buy these first two components, but they're a bit harder to get hold of here, so I had to make them. This is how you make an almond praline paste. Then we need to combine the paste with melted chocolate, and then add in the feuilletine to make a crunchy chocolate layer. Next, we need to make an almond and hazelnut de cuir. You can think of this layer as a bit like a macaron, but with flour in it, so it's a bit more cakey and soft. This cake is called the trianon chocolat royale cake. If you've ever been to France and the Palace of Versailles, you'll know it's massive. It has 2,300 rooms. You could walk for 10 minutes and still be in the hallway. But apparently all of that still wasn't enough room for the kings of France, so they built themselves smaller palaces in the gardens. They're basically luxury retreats, a palace to indulge and escape from the stress of life at your other palace. If you personally can't spend other people's tax money to build yourself a palace, then don't worry, you can taste luxury by making this trianon chocolate royale cake.
Delicious.
Pretty good.
I like it. I like the crispy base.
It's super good. It's not super cakey, but it is super good.
Now to Australia, the land down under and my home. This is by far the simplest of the cakes to make, and like many of the others, doesn't actually contain cake. Instead, it's made of chocolate biscuits or cookies sandwiched together with a generous amount of whipped cream. These chocolate ripple biscuits were first manufactured in 1930 by the Brockhoff Company, and they're the ones who put this recipe in the Argus newspaper as an advert for their cookies so they would sell more of them. Brockhoff later merged with Arnott's and they still sell them today. The whole thing is covered in more cream and decorated how you like. There are a few variations on this one, with some recipes saying to dip the biscuits in alcohol before adding the cream, but I did not do that today. After a few hours, the biscuits absorb the moisture from the cream and have more of a cake-like texture.
I like it.
It's too creamy for me.
Not bad flavours, just mostly cream flavours.
Pretty good.
It tastes like a picnic down at the park.
Even as an Australian, I'll tell you this one, it's not that good.
Moving on to Bulgaria. The chocolate garash cake was created more than 100 years ago by pastry chef Castella Garash. The first step is to make a walnut de cuir, which is very similar to what we did for the French cake, but this one uses ground walnuts instead of almonds. And instead of piping one disc, we need to make 6 of these. Then for the filling, we need to whisk egg yolks and sugar together and heat them with cream, and then pour that cooked mixture over the chocolate. Once the chocolate melts, you whisk it all together and then add some butter to give it a firmer texture when it's chilled. Then we need to stack up the layers of walnut de cuir, alternating it with the rich chocolate filling in between, and then you spread that filling over the whole cake, and this then gets chilled in the fridge. Now mix up some more butter and chocolate and pour that over the top, because this cake definitely needs more chocolate on it. You may have noticed that this cake and the French one are gluten-free, so they're good birthday options if you have a friend with celiac disease.
Bulgaria probably has the most impressive looking cake in terms of layers. This looks great, so I'm hoping that it tastes fantastic as well. Oh, I'm enjoying that. Very satisfying.
Interesting.
And very cardboard. Not a fan.
What's that flavour?
This one's very yummy. It has like a nutty taste.
Almond. Got lots of almonds in it?
No, not hazelnut. Walnut.
Walnuts.
It's quite nutty.
Is it a walnut cake or a chocolate cake? Or a chocolate walnut cake? Or a walnut chocolate cake? These are essential questions that must be answered.
Next, if you're looking for a gift that is unique and special enough to give to someone you love, today's sponsor Holskin carefully crafts jewellery and watches for both men and women. They produce their pieces in small batches, making sure everything is produced responsibly and ethically. And all their pieces come with a 2-year guarantee. They ship free worldwide from Vienna, the home of the Sacher Torte, and if you're in the US, they've already handled the custom fees for you, so your order will arrive in 5 to 9 business days with no unexpected drama. This watch is so pretty. I love the way the face shimmers different colours in the light. And inside this one, there's an automatic movement, which means it won't ever need batteries or charging. Instead, it uses energy from the movement of my wrist. Right now, Holskin is having their biggest sale of the year with up to 30% off, but it's for a limited time only, so you'll have to get in quick. Click on the link in the description or in the pinned comment to get a unique gift for family, friends, or maybe even for yourself. Next, we are off to Japan for the Castella Cake. Some say the Castella Cake actually originated in Portugal, while others say no, it was from the medieval kingdom of Castile in Spain, which seems to make sense. But I think most people can agree that Japan has perfected making fluffy Castella cakes. There are lots of different recipes floating around, all trying to emulate that bouncy texture and fine crumb. It is a very fluffy cake, but there's actually no baking powder in it. So again, we're relying just on whipping air into the egg whites and then carefully folding that through. If you mix in a little bit of the egg white to thin it down first before you fold in the rest, it's actually easier to keep more air in it. The result is a much different texture to the other cakes.
We're actually hoping to get to Japan next year. That'd be very good.
It's super spongy, this cake.
It's light and fluffy and not overly sweet.
It's a bit bland, a bit bitter.
That is not a good cake.
It's a pretty nice texture. Like if you would have that with a coffee or something, lovely.
I don't want my cake to feel like I could wash my dishes with it.
Next we have the USA with the very famous mud cake. The origins of this cake are very muddy. If you search for early mentions of the phrase mud cake, you will get stories of children making literal cakes out of mud. The first edible recipe that I could find is Grandma's Mud Cake, published in 1968, but that looks pretty much like a standard chocolate cake recipe. There is this recipe for Mississippi mud cake that was printed in 1969, but that cake has nuts in it and marshmallows on top. Apparently around the same time, a dense version of chocolate mud cake was also being developed in Australia. So if you have a handwritten recipe for mud cake that predates 1968, you might hold the key to unlocking the history of mud cakes.
It's a mud cake. You've had it. It's boring. It's fine.
I think when it lined up against all these, which are a bit more exotic to me, it's a nice garden variety chocolate cake.
Now it's Sweden's turn with kladdkaka, which means sticky chocolate cake. If you thought mud cake was dense, think again. Some say this cake was invented during World War II when there was shortages of baking powder, and that's why there's no baking powder in it. But unlike the other recipes that we've seen, it makes absolutely no attempt to add any air into the batter at all. It just embraces its thick, dense, gooey, chocolatey texture. The cake is baked to cook the eggs and then chilled in the fridge before serving.
Kladdkaka.
A kladdkaka. I'm sure that's not how you say it.
Kladdkaka.
It doesn't look like much of a cake.
It's not for me.
Wow. It is thick.
It's pretty yummy.
It's just a chocolatey goo, but it was fine.
It's like someone's melted a chocolate cake.
And lastly to Italy. Italy has so many wonderful chocolate cakes, it was hard to choose just one. I picked this particular recipe because it's so different to all of the other cakes on the table. Apparently the original recipe for this does not contain chocolate, and it was first made by the Italian nuns. It's called panpepato, or peppered bread. The chocolate version that we're making originated in central Italy more than 400 years ago, making this our oldest chocolate cake recipe. It's very simple to make, you just mix all the ingredients together. There is no baking powder in this one either, so it is very dense like the kladdkaka was, but it is not gooey at all. Once this one is baked, it has a firm, slightly chewy texture.
From the side of this, I can already tell I'm not gonna like it, because I really do not like nuts. But I'll give it a go.
Who would have thought there's so many different types of chocolate cake? This has got nuts in it. It's got chocolate in it. Oh, that's delicious. That's like a mouthful of fruit and nut.
The Italians, I love the main course, love the good food, but that cake is not good.
I quite like it. It's like a nutty but fruity cake.
That one's actually pretty cool.
Oh, that was good. Well done, Italy.
All right, let's go worst this side.
These two are definitely bottom two.
They were all great in their own way. Sorry, Sweden. I just didn't love the texture. The flavour was fine, but didn't love the texture, so I'm going to slot you in there.
USA, bit too sweet. Think it was better than the Japanese cake just because it was so bland though, so that's going to go in last.
I am now doing a puzzle.
Yeah, I didn't actually love France because I don't like mousse.
Didn't love Brazil either, so that might go in third last.
So my top three is the Brazil one, then the Japan one. That's the one that, like, if there was a cake on the bench, I would be most inclined to, like, go and cut myself a slice. Then the Italy one really surprised me.
My top three cakes were the Italian cake, the Bulgarian cake, and the French cake.
Bolo de brigadeiro is number 3. And then we got the Sacher Torte as number 2. And then we've got the chocolate royal as, or royale as number 1.
Italy, so close and so delicious. Austria just got me on that beautiful orange jam. Apricot. Got me on the apricot jam.
And my favourites, which I would definitely make again, were the Bulgarian Garash Cake, but I would like to try making that with hazelnuts instead of walnuts, because walnuts have quite a strong flavour. And then at number 2 for me was the Italian panpepato, because it was just amazing. You really should make it and try it. And at number 1, of course, the French chocolate royale. Now, we need to add up the overall rankings because there was quite a bit of variation in where people placed things. James rated the Italian one very high.
This one? James rated that high? It was awful.
Dad rated it high too.
Why?
And Jed.
It was hard to eat, hard to get a piece off, and it wasn't a cake. Like, you know, if it sounds solid on the table, it's not a cake.
So after adding up all of those scores, the winners are, at number 3, the bolo brigadeiro from Brazil. At number 2, the panpepato from Italy. And at number 1, the French trianon chocolate royale. What I found interesting though was the answers to this next question, which show it's not just that simple. I asked them if all of those chocolate cakes were to suddenly disappear like they never existed and they're gone from the face of the earth, but you could keep just one of them around, which one would you choose?
Ooh.
So what question's that?
I don't know. The French one is delicious. However, it might be the Italian one just because it has so many unique flavours that you can't really get anywhere else. Like, The French one, you could just have a bar of chocolate and it would taste relatively similar.
I think I'm still going to go with the Brazil. I think it gives the best of both worlds. Of its like the gooey chocolatiness of Sweden and France with some of the like actual cake texture of some of the other ones, and I like it. It would either be between that and the mud cake.
Those ones could all go. They could all clear off. Oh, Japan, that'd be a shame. It was pretty good. Yeah, Brazil, I could see it go. Oh, Bulgaria, it's such a pretty cake.
I want every kid to have chocolate cake if they love chocolate cake. So I think that it probably has to be the USA one, even though I much preferred the chocolate royale, and it was in my bottom 4. Maybe I need to move it up. Maybe I was rating too harshly.
Gee whiz, I'm going to keep Italy. I liked Austria the best initially, but I'm keeping Italy.
I'll put the details of all of those recipes on my website for you. And if you're stuck with the puzzle from last week's video, feel free to ask a question here and someone who has figured it out will no doubt give you some hints and clues. So if you don't want any spoilers, don't read any of the replies, because figuring it out for yourself is part of the joy of figuring out puzzles. With thanks to my amazing patrons for all of your support. I appreciate you guys every single week. Make it a great week by being kind to others, and I'll see you on Friday.